Good evening, and welcome to the News After 6. I'm Beth Vale coming to you live from our studios overlooking Hollow Hill. It's Thursday, July 3rd, and tonight the veil feels particularly thin. Before we begin, a reminder to our faithful viewers. Keep your protective talismans close. Avoid looking directly into any mirrors during tonight's broadcast. And if you hear tapping during our top story, it's not coming from your speakers. Tonight's stories. An entire investigation team vanishes inside Hollow Hill Hospital's forbidden ward. A rare blood moon threatens to awaken things better left sleeping. And we'll hear directly from the entity known as the Ash Collector in an exclusive transmission from beneath the hospital itself. But first, our top story. Just after midnight last Tuesday, 5 members of the underground organization known as the Faithful entered Hollow Hill Hospital's sealed burn ward. Let's go to our on-scene reporter Leo Chen for the full story. Leo, what's the latest?
Good evening, Beth. I'm standing here in the east parking lot of Hollow Hill Hospital, where you can see behind me the sealed 4th floor windows of the infamous burn ward. It's been 6 days now since 5 members of the underground organization known as the Faithful vanished inside this building, and tonight authorities are no closer to finding them. Let me bring you up to speed on what we know. Just after midnight last Tuesday, security cameras captured Sarah Blackthorne, Marcus Reed, Elena Vasquez, Thomas Gray, and team leader Patricia Patches Hartwell entering through a maintenance entrance. The footage shows them making their way directly to the sealed burn ward, specifically to room 237, a room that's been welded shut since the devastating fire of 1952.
Leo, what were they looking for in that particular room?
Well, Beth, according to sources close to the investigation, they were searching for confirmation of an entity that survivors from the 1852 fire call the Tapping Gentleman. Their final radio transmission, received at 12:47 a.m., was chilling and barely audible, but says, "He's behind the glass, but it's not our reflection." That was the last anyone heard from the team. Hospital Administrator Margaret Spitz issued this statement earlier today. The burn ward has been closed for over 70 years. We have no record of anyone being granted access. But when our news team pressed her office about the security footage clearly showing the team's entry, they stopped returning our calls. Beth, earlier I interviewed Dr. Helena Reeves, a paranormal researcher who actually consulted with the missing team before their investigation. She declined to be on camera, but had this to say. She tried to warn them about the risks. The Tapping Gentleman isn't just hospital folklore. There's documented reports going back to 1853 of patients reporting a figure tapping on windows from the outside of 4th floor rooms.
That sounds impossible, Leo. How can someone tap on 4th floor windows from the outside?
Well, that's exactly what makes this so disturbing. Hospital records from the night of the fire remain classified, but witness accounts describe a patient who wouldn't stop tapping on his window as flames consumed the ward around him. The building structure makes external access to those windows impossible, yet the tapping continues. When asked if she thought the investigative team was still alive, Dr. Reeves commented that she hoped for the best, but noted that room 237 has a history. No one who's entered that room after dark has ever been seen again. The Faithful knew the risks. If anyone has information about the missing investigators, Sarah Blackthorne, Marcus Reed, Elena Vasquez, Thomas Gray, and Patricia Patches Hartwell, authorities are asking that you do not approach the hospital directly. Instead, leave any tips or messages at the old confession booth in St. Morvina's Chapel. Search and rescue teams suspended operations at sunset due to what they're calling equipment malfunctions and safety concerns. Officials won't elaborate on what those concerns are, but I can tell you that several K-9 units refused to enter the building, and multiple electronic devices have experienced unexplained failures near the East Wing. This is Leo Chen reporting live from Hollow Hill Hospital. Back to you in the studio, Beth.
Thank you, Leo. Stay safe out there. We'll continue following this developing story throughout the evening. And now, a look at tonight's paranormal weather forecast with our consulting meteorologist, Dr. Elijah Blackwood.
Thanks, Beth. Good evening, night owls. This is News After 6 meteorologist Elijah Blackwood bringing you tonight's supernatural forecast and special blood moon advisory. We've got a doozy brewing. blood moon will reach totality at 11:47 p.m., coinciding with what meteorologists are politely calling atmospheric weirdness. Translation: the ghosts have hijacked our weather stations. Current conditions: barometric pressure plummeting faster than our interns' will to live. Temperatures will be doing the cha-cha: hot, cold, and impossible. Repeat. Tonight's electromagnetic readings are off the charts. Literally, they broke our equipment. There are a couple of problem areas to be careful of. First, Mirror Room 204 is having hot flashes every 13 minutes. And the chapel crypt has apparently decided it's January. Temps have plummeted to sub-zero digits. And have you noticed that fog near Hollow Hill Bridge? It's making crop circles in the air. Because, well, of course it is. So tonight's advisory says, stay inside. Avoid mysterious cold spots. And if your thermometer starts speaking Latin, unplug it immediately. There are a few defensive measures you should put into place to prepare. Light some lavender to create cozy anti-ghost zones. Know that rosemary helps with the electromagnetic tantrums. And even though salt circles are so last century, they still work if you're feeling traditional. And of course, remember, if you hear voices on windless nights, they're not asking for directions. They're taking attendance. So beware. The faithful Weather Service reminds you, some atmospheric disturbances aren't meteorological, they're archaeological. Something's been sleeping in the storm clouds, and tonight it's coming home for dinner. This has been your Paranormal Weather Service. Stay weird, stay safe, and remember, some storms aren't made of rain. Back to you, Beth.
Sounds ominous, Dr. Blackwood. Now, a warning for anyone who downloaded the digital edition of the Grimoire Arcana in the past month. Multiple users across the Tri-County area report experiencing what technicians are calling supernatural malware. Symptoms include hearing Florence Frightingale's distinctive voice emanating from muted devices, receiving text messages from numbers that don't exist, and discovering new tarot cards in the app that weren't part of the original 78-card deck. One citizen reported that it started with whispers, then they stumbled across a new card, the Widow. They say that when it's upright, it means submission, but when it flips, the unholy screaming doesn't stop. The app's developer, Mystical Arts LLC, issued a statement this morning, stating, "We are investigating reports of unauthorized content. Users experiencing anomalies should uninstall immediately and seek spiritual cleansing." Florence Frightingale, when reached for comment, offered only this cryptic response: "Digital spirits are still spirits. They hunger for connection just like the rest. We here at News After 6 recommend that anyone affected contact the Faithful's technical support line at 999-999-9999, though we should mention that the number changes every hour after sunset. Next up, a report from a specter dwelling beneath Hollow Hill. Mr. Ellis, can you hear me? Are you with us?
Yes, Beth, loud and clear. You seek to understand, but understanding, well, that may be difficult. You see, they left me with the dust of the forgotten, with the teeth of the silent, and with the screams they stitched into gauze and buried in walls. I did not ask to remember them all, but now I do, every last breath, every final word, every prayer whispered into empty halls. The living walk above me, but their foundations rest on graves. The hospital, it was built on a cemetery, you know. They moved the headstones, they never moved the bodies. I collect what remains, the ash of unfinished business, the dust of unfulfilled promises, and when the blood moon rises, when the veil grows thin, I remember why I must keep collecting.
Mr. Ellis? Are you there, Mr. Ellis? It seems like we've lost our connection. I wanted to ask follow-up questions, but I'm only receiving static from Hollow Hill right now. Florence Frightingale, our consulting expert on hospital hauntings, provided this statement earlier. Not all ashes stay buried. Some blow back in on the wind, carrying memories the living were never meant to hold. The faithful advise anyone experiencing unusual dust accumulation in their homes to contact the Spiritual Maintenance Hotline immediately. We close tonight with an update on Hollow Hill's most persistent mystery, The Clock Tower Paradox. Last night at precisely 6 p.m., the hospital's century-old clock tower struck 13 times. Witnesses report that time itself seemed to stutter. Security cameras show footage jumping backward and forward. In the hospital's intensive care unit, 3 patients coded, revived, then visibly aged decades in under 60 seconds. One patient, 34-year-old Maria Santos, left a handwritten note that simply read, "I died on the 6th chime. I don't know what I am now." Mrs. Santos remains conscious and coherent, but hospital staff report she casts no reflection and her medical equipment cannot detect vital signs. She insists she feels fine and asks only for visiting hours to see her family. Her family refuses to visit, reporting that she's been dead for 3 years. Dr. Rachel Kim, head of the ICU, provided this statement. "We're monitoring the situation. Mrs. Santos presents a unique case that challenges our understanding of, well, everything." The clock tower has since been sealed, but residents report hearing phantom chimes at random hours. The faithful recommend setting all clocks in your homes back by 13 minutes and avoiding the number 6 in any form until the next new moon. And so ends another evening here at the News After 6. Before you sleep tonight, remember the old protections. Journal your dreams, the strange ones especially. Burn lavender by your bedside. And avoid looking into mirrors after midnight, particularly if you hear your name being called from within the glass. The blood moon reaches its peak in just over 4 hours. Keep your protective charms close, trust your instincts, and remember, if something feels wrong, it probably is. To our faithful viewers, you are not alone in seeing what others cannot. You are not imagining the whispers, the shadows, the faces in windows that shouldn't have faces. You are the watchers, the guardians, the thin line between the world that sleeps peacefully and the world that never sleeps at all. This is Beth Vale, signing off from the News After 6. Sleep well, Hollow Hill, if you still dream at all.